afternoon, everyone. My name is Sonia Kumar. I'm a Professor of Medical Education here at Imperial College London and Director of Medic.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Noor Hubi and I'm a final year medical student at Imperial.
So a really warm welcome to Imperial College London's Global Creative Competition 2021 awards ceremony. A huge welcome to our medical students who have inspired and amazed us yet again this year with their creative talents. A welcome to their families and friends who I'm sure have joined them, and medical schools who are supporting and nurturing them to become our next generation of doctors. It really is a great honour to have you here with us today to celebrate the creativity and talent of our global community of medical students. And for those of you on Twitter, you can see the hashtag that we have on the slides that we'll be using for the event is Global Medical Student.
Now, as you may know, this is our second year of holding the Global Creative Competition. And this competition actually began during the height of the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic here in the UK. And what we wanted and our aim with the competition was to capture some of the personal and professional experiences and reflections of our global community of medical students on the COVID-19 pandemic. Last year, we were absolutely amazed and totally blown away by the wealth of talent, creativity, and just the sheer profoundness of some of the submissions. With the huge success of our competition last year, we wanted to run it again for a second year.
Over a year on from last year's competition, sadly, COVID-19 is still very much with us. And we wanted to use this year's theme of global unity as a platform to bring together our medical students, our future doctors. As Noor mentioned, last year's entries were just brilliant, but you really are in for a treat this year, as this year's entries have continued to astound and impress us with both their quality and uniqueness.
So this year, we're going to ask you as our audience to vote. We're going to be introducing our 8 shortlisted finalists and in turn, and with the remainder of them at the end. What we'll show you is a pop-up, which is going to pop up on your screen so that you'll be able to vote. And when the voting closes, we'll be ready to announce our 2 winners and 2 runners-up. And so before we keep you from the students and their creative pieces any longer, we want to introduce the first entry. So the first entry is called Take a Seat by Catherine Abraham, who's from the University of Leeds in the United Kingdom. Catherine, would you like to tell us a bit about your piece?
Thank you, Noor. Yeah, hi, I'm Catherine. I'm a third-year medical student at the University of Leeds. My digital painting portrays an idealistic world where, instead of using labels to categorise individuals, diversity and ambiguity is welcomed. I invite you to look beyond social constructs to the shared experiences, emotions, and conversations being had around the table. I wanted to create a world that was diverse and inclusive, and also an image that encourages the audience to think about joining important conversations and listening to other voices. I think my painting is important to me because I know that if I were to take a seat at the table, I'd be heard and respected. I intended to instill joy in Take a Seat by using universal sensations that bring humans together, like love and music and friendship, and I included objects and small details to divulge what sort of lives the characters live, such as the phone case, recycling tote bag, and pink surgical mask. However, I also wanted to convey a more profound message because, like many over the pandemic, I had more time to reflect on global injustices, learning more about systemic racism, misogyny, environmental crises, and countless other problems. Alone, consuming overwhelming amounts of information digitally, I felt the world was fractured, but I came to the conclusion that the most important thing is fighting to solve these issues, as well as remembering to celebrate the beautiful people who are oppressed and marginalised. So overall, the idea behind my piece is that everyone should be able to take a seat at the table.
Thank you so much, Catherine. And over to you, Sonia, to introduce the next piece.
So the next piece is Call Me When Unity is True, and it's a piece by Zainab Iftikhar from the Al Faisal University in Saudi Arabia. Zainab, the floor's yours.
Thank you, Sonia. So hello, everybody. I'm Zainab Iftikhar. I'm a final year medical student at Al Faisal University in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. A little bit about myself. I'm the author of 2 books that I wrote and published when I was 15 and 19 years old on the topics of poverty and water contamination. So this topic on global unity is very close to home and close to heart. I also run a very small NGO in my home country, Sri Lanka, and I was one of the winners of the 2021 McKinsey & Company Women's Achievement Awards. So that was just a little bit background on myself. I'm going to dive right into the topic right now. So when I read this topic, instinctively, I didn't want to write about an abstract reality of our world whilst ignoring the actual reality that we live in, because I couldn't help but wonder, where was unity when the Rohingya refugees were denied entry at every border, when China's Uyghur Muslims were put in detention camps, when Syrian and Palestinian children cry out for help but only receive grenades in return, when the innocent Christians in Sri Lanka who were bombed by ruthless terrorists on an Easter Sunday, when George Floyd, who screamed, "I can't breathe," and died because of the color of his skin. And I'm mentioning a few of these examples so that you can find who these people are in my poem as I speak of it. And by referencing so many different issues in this concise 2 minutes recording, I got the opportunity to highlight that missing link in our communities, the dire areas in our world that are hungry for a stroke of unity. After all, I didn't talk about what unity is, but rather to look at it from a different route and talk about the lack of it, so that we may realize that this is the path to unity and that by fixing this, we can attain unity. The audacity to work together to change their reality, or to at least be the voice of it. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, joining us today, without speaking about the bitter truths and attempting to seed it out, we cannot create space for unity to grow. Nevertheless, my poem does end in a hopeful note that a day will come when religion, race, or color does not determine our social value and does not determine whether I get to live or die. And that day is when I will celebrate the flip side of our reality, to celebrate unity. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy listening to the poem and resonate.
When all the oceans have dried up and the trees have fallen to the ground, all you will have left of me will be either the memory of my laughter or that of my frown. So why, dear annihilator, do you fight to be separate from the society of peace? Perhaps it's the melanin in my skin or the beliefs in my heart that have failed to please. Loved ones have departed many, families fragmented without a penny. Why do you keep sending us your grenades and torment us with your callous words? There's no life left within to grieve, leave alone count the losses of any. There were once people without an address, adrift on swaying boats on the precarious sea, waiting any country to claim them so they can finally say, "Hey, I'm free." There were people who went to church seeking serenity, never to return because there detonated the bombs of villainy. Color is treated like a king and women next to nothing. Alas, they are barred from blooming just because their happiness these simpletons find infuriating. Some people cling to planes only to fall off. Others heartlessly drove them through a glass-towered building. Some were beaten and brawled, put in camps and stripped of their identity. I'm simply appalled. How could they have touched these heights of atrocity? Yet this world remains numbly silent, too scared to move a strand in disagreement. Why does their presence irk you down to the bone? Are they so undesired that you just cannot leave them alone? My diversity should be celebrated, not tossed, turned, and incinerated. Don't fabricate an abstract story of unity for me, where roses are red and violets are blue, where all people are virtuous through and through. Don't miss the fallacy of our reality. Please don't misconstrue. When masks come off and hands join in togetherness, not an ounce of hatred in human hearts and no worldly differences that can tear us apart. Call me that day. I listen earnestly hoping that just maybe this unity you claim can be something true, in all of its glory, all of its hues.
Thank you, Zainab. Noor, the next piece.
Thank you, Sonia. So the next piece we want to introduce is Unity in Parallels by Shafia Ali, who's from the University of Leeds in the United Kingdom. Just going to invite Shafia to tell us a bit about her submission.
Hi everyone, my name is Shafia and I'm a fourth-year student at the University of Leeds. So I created this short video in spoken word in response to the theme because I think it's so important to recognise how despite there being things that are intricately different about us, whether that's race, age, aspirations, opportunity, that there are some things that exist which will unify. I really focused on the parallels of existence to highlight this, and then moving on from the inequality. And looking from a macroscopic scale, I think that we can see correlations to responses in recent events around the world, from the George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter protest halfway across the world in Palestine, and the subsequent protests, and then to more recently the climate change activism, which has the youth. I think being able to see the unity that can arise from such different events is really important for me to highlight. Being able to view how differently we can experience something as an opportunity was something else that was prominent for me when I wrote this piece. In some parts of the video, I talk about our neighbours and lending hands to those who need the most. Over the last 18 months, there's been a 200% increase in people using food banks throughout the pandemic. Food banks rely on unity and kindness and like the health impact that COVID has had, and seeing the impact firsthand as a student. I think we brought home that despite all of the differences identified, we can see that all of us and people around the world are coming together to combat something that doesn't care about our differences. Really emphasize that despite our differences, our instinct to survive and protect our loved ones is something that overrides the parallels of our existence and results in this unity. So thank you for listening to the video.
Global unity. What does it truly mean to unify? We exist as one, side by side, but simultaneously there exists a divide. We are parallels of the same existence, born with opportunity in the land of the free, whilst our parallels exist in the shackles of regimes. We are parallels of dreams, half dreaming of the latest trends, half dreaming of their next meals. Dreams of status versus dreams of survival. Dreams of, I can't wait to go on my next holiday, parallel to, I hope it is easier for my children. I hope it is easier for my children. We are parallels of circumstance, of the luck of being born where we have access to opportunities, or the misfortune of becoming a statistic in a segment of the nightly news. We are parallels of thinking that these problems are confined to faraway lands, concealed by the label of third world countries, when our neighbours are starving so that their children can eat. We are victims of circumstance, or champions of opportunity. We are parallels of existence, but the power to choose unity remains with us. We are parallels of an extreme, united through common themes of desperation for survival, to continue to live, to hear the laughter of those we hold dearest, and to see the smiles of strangers whom we offer help to hold the hand of those who once held us, and to offer a hand to those who need it the most. We are parallels of existence. We are made of the same flesh and bone. We see the same sky and walk the same paths. We breathe the same air. But for some, air became a privilege, and in these moments we ceased to be parallels of existence, and instead we became entities that are filled with the same hope and the same desire to breathe back life into the ones that we love. There is more that unites us than that which divides us. We exist as parallels of life, unified through hope. The unity which is global exists in all of us.
Thank you so much. Now over to you, Sonia.
So the next piece is a piece entitled Terraform by Ashley Murathi from the University of Nairobi in Kenya. Ashley, if you'd like to say a few words.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Kendi Mudhuri. I am a fourth-year medical student from the University of Nairobi, Kenya. The name of my painting is Terraform. To terraform means to transform another planet so as to mimic Earth's conditions. So as you can see, I have a soldier and a young child. The young child is being carried by the soldier, and there's a golden halo around them and a cloud. The soldier and the child died from one of the terror attacks in Afghanistan. And I chose this piece so as to stir conversation, emotion, and thought about what was happening in the world in August in Afghanistan, which was the same time that the global competition was running. And so that is what I wanted to send across. Could Earth basically terraform to support those in these positions, the children that are dying of malnutrition, the children who are being recruited into the Taliban militia group in this era. And it's not only happening in Afghanistan, it has been happening in Syria for over a decade. It's also been happening in Yemen. So basically, that is what I wanted to send across. Could Earth terraform again, so as to mimic Earth itself, basically how Earth was designed and how we were initially designed to live with each other. So yes, thank you for listening to me. And it is such an honor to be here today.
It's lovely to have you with us, Ashley. Thank you so much. And with that, I think we're moving on to the next piece. Noor.
Yeah, so thank you, Sonia. So the next piece that I want to introduce is The Battles We Fight, which was submitted by Lloyd Anshia Barber, who's from the Far Eastern University from the Philippines. I'm just going to invite Lloyd to tell us a bit about his video submission.
So hello everyone. So I wrote a poem titled The Battles We Fight. I started writing it after watching a news report on the war in Afghanistan days before it was declared over. So the poem starts with a war that's thousands of miles away from my country, the Philippines, but one that has affected me emotionally. Then I went on to talk about natural disasters, the floods in Indonesia, the wildfires in Australia, and the eruption of a volcano in my home country, which I used as a metaphor to Filipinos finally standing up against killings and human rights abuses. Then I went on with the COVID-19 pandemic, which of course affected the whole world. So with this piece, I wanted to highlight 4 ways how global unity can pave the way to a better future. First one, global unity in resolving conflicts and protecting our people. I always admire when countries, including my country, welcome refugees from war-stricken areas such as Afghanistan. Second one, global unity in response to climate change and protecting vulnerable communities. It's a relief to know that the world is there to help other countries experiencing all these calamities. The third one would be global unity in upholding human rights and protection from abuse. And finally, the fourth one, global unity in ending the COVID-19 pandemic and in preventing future pandemics. So with this poem, I want to rekindle in every one of us the spirit of unity and a sense of shared destiny, that even if we are separated by our geographical borders, we should not let each other alone in our own battles, even and especially in our darkest times. Thank you. So here's my piece.
Bombs and guns wreak havoc in the country for adventurers. Deafening noise echoes in the rest of the world. Wrath of the sun splashed on hectares of land. No signs of stopping. The screams amid a hot black summer. Varuna's gift overflows on rainy New Year's Day. Villages covered in mud, not to spare people's throats. The ground starts to rumble beneath Philippine soil. A fire erupts. Silent for 40 years, when Earth's poor enraged. Even nature revolts with its wronged people. The battle begins with an invisible foe, conquering countries one by one. People succumbing day by day and not a chance to be buried by their loved ones. If we ever let countries alone in their darkest times, how do we even fulfill the dreams of our ancestors of a better future? We speak different tongues, but to no use if the language of love is killed. We have our own lands to cultivate, but we have a world to build.
Thank you so much, Lloyd. I'll just hand over to Sonia.
So the next piece is Making Unity a Legacy for the Future, Not a Legend of the Past. And this is by Angela Rahas from the King's College London University in the United Kingdom.
Hi, my name is Angela Rojas. I'm a final year medical student at King's College London, and I first heard about this Global Unity Creative Competition when I joined the Medical Education Masterclass series run by Imperial last summer. I had a great experience. So a little bit about myself. I've always been an art enthusiast, and I've kept this hobby up throughout medical school as an outlet. I also used to coach women's basketball at King's, and I like running. About the painting, I created this to raise awareness of racial prejudice and how it can cause division in communities, and with that, disparities in terms of how young people can access opportunities. It was inspired by two children who I had the pleasure of meeting in 2019. As you can see, they are of different ethnicities, but they were the best of friends. They would play for hours on end, completely indifferent to the color of their skin. And this really made me think. I used to believe that in order to achieve global unity in society, whether that be in healthcare or education, that we as adults have the responsibility to teach kids how to act and how to think. But I was wrong because it didn't just go one way, it's a two-way thing. We have so much to learn from the kids. And only when we as adults actually pause to observe the innate compassion and sincerity of how children's attitudes are towards each other, then can we become better advocates for this unity in the future. So if you notice, there's a newspaper article at the back, and I created this using real quotes that I collected from friends, colleagues, and even strangers about their own experiences of inequalities and what they think of it. I think it's really important to be able to give them a voice and share what they've been through. As an ethnic minority student myself, I've personally experienced the implications of disunity directed towards immigrant families, and I know how that feels. And I don't want others to feel the same way. So hopefully with this event and this award ceremony and just these art pieces, we can help others know that they're not going through this alone, and give them a voice as well, to know that we know feeling disconnected from local communities it's not a good thing, and hopefully we can reduce that by raising awareness of the things we've mentioned just now. I hope it resonates with you. I hope it touches you and you like the art. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Angela. And over to you, Nor, for the next piece.
The next piece, thank you, Sonia. The next piece is called The Quest for Global Unity, submitted by Bonkem Sylvie Kathleen Formham, who's from the Catholic University of Cameroon in Cameroon. And I'd just like to welcome Bonkem Sylvie to tell us a bit about her submission.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bonkem Sylvie Kathleen Formham. I'm a fourth-year medical student at the Catholic University of Cameroon. And Cameroon is a West African country. So the title of my piece is The Quest for Global Unity. And when I saw the theme Global Unity, first of all, I tried to picture all nations of the world. And I realized that people of all cultures, all religions, all backgrounds, they live in all nations of the world, but yet they do not connect on fundamental values such as peace, justice, human rights, social performance, and environmental preservation. And so, as a medical student in the Anglophone region of Cameroon precisely, I have suffered the effects of disunity. Precisely in 2017, I did not go to school as a result of the political and social unrest in my country, which was partially due to linguistic and cultural differences. And with fear and uncertainty, whether I am going to complete my education when I saw the theme, it made me go back to my past to look at the past years too, where children in my country didn't go to school as a result of a religious terrorist group in the northern part of the country. And I therefore put forth this piece to let everyone out there in the global village that we can form a contemporary global village where our color, our religion, our languages doesn't determine how far we go or where we place ourselves, but to make everybody know that we can come to a compromise of unity and we can create a village, a world that works for all. Thank you.
On a fateful Friday night, I turned on my TV screen. The journalist read the news with an unusual smile. Oh, what could be the cause of this smile? Then I realized that the world was actually becoming one as the Creator intended. There on my screen was Israel and Palestine signing a peace treaty, the Yemen children smiling, Afghanistan celebrating unity as the Taliban dropped their weapons, Russia and America smiling back at each other. Then my nation, Cameroon, the Anglophone crisis was now history. I saw an end to war and racism. With a glow on my face, I switched off my TV screen, and then came the sad reality. It was a dream. But what if this dream could become a reality? How much joy are we gonna have if the whites and the blacks could hold on to each other? If we could see beyond our skin color, our cultures and our religion, if we could see beyond our greed, our pride, our ego and our differences, if we could come to a realization that we are one world, one human family, aiming at a common goal, if we could connect on fundamental values such as peace, respect, equality, justice, human rights, social responsibility and environmental preservation, if we could strengthen the ideas of unity and equality, diversity and oneness, harmony and compassion, and above all, advancing culture and peace, we can create a world that works for all. This is global unity.
Thank you so much, Bonkem Sylvie. I'm going to hand over to you now, Sonia, for the next submission.
So the next submission is actually our final piece for this afternoon. This is As Long As I Can Breathe. It's a music piece by Chaninda Dejsuper from the University of Bristol in the United Kingdom. I'll invite you, Chaninda, to say a few words before we play your piece.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Chaninda Dejsuper, or you can call me Holly, and I'm a final year medical student at Bristol University in the UK. So my family and I are originally from Thailand, but I've grown up in several different countries, hence the classic international school accent. But before anything, what an honor it is to be here, all those incredible, inspiring submissions and the fantastic panel. So I'm so glad we can unite today and share a much needed message in these times. So I guess let's get right into my piece. So I think for the first time in a very long time, we're seeing unity being actively called for, instead of taking it for granted by just living in the same society. Haven't you noticed that since the pandemic started, we look out for each other more? We care about their health. We ask, hey, are you feeling all right? Do you need some time off? We take notice of other people more. Simply by the act of wearing a mask, distancing yourself in a queue, it's unity in coming together in this pandemic, and unity in our shared experiences. It's a collective mental fallout we're in almost 2 years later. So it only felt natural to convey these shared global emotions through the equally global language of music, to give a sense of hope and, more importantly, recovery. I composed the song you're about to hear to resonate with everybody's battle, whether COVID or not. And for me, it was geographical and cultural, distraught at how the UK is already offering booster doses, versus Thailand, where many haven't even received their first jab. I thought about the lives lost close to me, and that although COVID hasn't infected my lungs yet, it's certainly infected my mind. And then as a medical student, taking care of sick patients versus being just another passerby who actually saw a silent death on the streets of Bangkok. Yes, I'm frustrated. Yes, I'm distressed. And yes, I'm upset. I'm sure everybody here has their own struggles too. So, after a long, tough day, when I come home, take off my scrubs, I go right back to the basics and I tell myself to just breathe. Because that's what you do when things get overwhelming. Breathe. And this is what the song is all about. The simple act of breathing that requires rhythm, synchronization, responsibility, much like what we're all going through right now as we unite together to fight for tomorrow. So all I can say is, thank you for letting me share the song with you today. I hope that when you close your eyes, listen to the lyrics and the piano, that the song is no longer mine, and it becomes yours with the reminder that we are all healing, we are all recovering. Because as long as you and I breathe, we are united in doing so. Thank you very much, and please enjoy.
I'm trying to find peace of mind, but my mind's in pieces. Give me back my only paradise getaway. And I can't believe that you're willing to leave me, gasping and panting and struggling for air that you steal to fuel your flames. I won't forgive your insincerity, yet another hero died. So what are we even trying in these trying times? Who am I to make this all about me? But how dare you force me to fight when all you try to do is take my breath away. Sometimes I wish you'll take my breath away. It's contagious, and it'll take ages. In this battle where you win by being the last to fall from the edge. And I won't forgive her insincerity, yet another hero died. So what are we even trying in these trying times? Who am I to make this all about me? But how dare you force me to fight when all you try to do.
Thank you, Chaminda. Wow, we've been taken on quite a journey there with all of those pieces. So we're aware that it's quite a lot to take in. So we're just going to do a quick reminder of our final 8. So Tom, if you'd like to play them now.
Don't fabricate an abstract story of unity for me, where roses are red and violets are blue, where all people are virtuous through and through. Don't miss the fallacy of our reality.
There is more that unites us than that which divides us. We exist as parallels of life, unified through hope. The unity which is global exists in all of us.
We have our own lands to cultivate, but we have a world to build.
How much joy are we gonna have if the whites and the blacks could hold on to each other? If we could see beyond our skin color, our cultures and our religion.
I won't forgive her insincerity, yet another hero died. So what are we even trying?
So here's a reminder of all of our 8. So on your screens in just a moment is going to come the incredibly difficult but exciting time for you now to vote. The voting is going to be left open for just a few moments. And so what we're going to ask you to do in the next few minutes is to choose your favourite creative piece. You only have one vote, so choose it carefully. And once you've voted, if you could press the submit button. We'll leave some music playing over the next couple of minutes while you do your voting, and then we will come to the very exciting part where we get to announce the runners-up and the winners.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for attending today, and thank you for voting. We're extremely excited to announce our 2 winners and our 2 runners-up. So I just want to check that all of our finalists have got their cameras on, and I'm going to announce the runners-up, and then I'll hand over to Sonia to announce our 2 winners. So our 2 runners-up are Lloyd from the Philippines and Bongkem Sylvie. So a massive well done. And I'll hand over to Sonia to announce our winners.
So it really does give me great pleasure to do this bit. So the winners of the 2021 Global Creative Competition are Zainab Iftikhar from Saudi Arabia with Call Me When Unity Is True, and Ashley Murthy with Terraform. A huge congratulations to all our winners and runners-up, and indeed to everyone who entered the competition this year. It's been an absolute pleasure and honour to have you with us, to celebrate with us today. We want to thank you for attending today's event, and thank you to everyone who has tirelessly worked behind the scenes to make this event happen. A special thank you goes to Tom. You've probably heard Nora and I every now saying Tom, and this is Tom Durley for his hard work, his commitment, attention to detail. Everyone in the Medic team, the School of Public Health, and Imperial College London for their support. And finally, a thank you to Purashini Pather. I'm not sure if you're on the call, Purathini, but for your musical piece that has been playing in the background, and for your idea and inspiration for us including a musical category for this year's competition. And with that, it's a final goodbye from me, and Noor is going to say a few parting words.
Thank you, Sonia. And to end, we'd just like to share with you a selection from some of the creative pieces that were highly commended this year. Goodbye, everyone, and thank you so much for attending.
Thursday. This is the storm system, this area of clouds we're looking at here on the satellite picture. The big problem is it's going to bring huge falls of rain, and of particular concern is the rain going into the peaks and the Pennines, where we could see 150, maybe 200 millimetres of rain over the tops of the hills. So, as you can imagine, quite likely to see some pretty big problems over the next few days.